Strong Dads wants to thank Quality Auto Mart for joining us as a sponsor. Quality Auto Mart was born in 1985. They are owned and operated by Mark and Nancy Repke. Quality Auto Mart provides all the services, repairs, and maintenance for your vehicle's needs with a 3-year auto parts and labor warranty. They offer complimentary vehicle safety inspection and estimates. Also, they offer a shuttle service, and the 4th oil change is always on them. They are located at 7307 on State Road 46 in Batesville, Indiana. Make sure you give them a call at 812-934-2301.
Welcome to Strong Dads. This is Merle Hutchinson being joined by Kyle Crawford. How are you today?
I'm ready to go, Merle.
You just got off your work shift.
I just got off 24 hours of loud and exciting, so I'm ready though.
Yeah,
I'm ready.
Anything super crazy?
I'm in my
Y'all
third
jacked
or
up
fourth pot of coffee.
You do
here.
Black Rifle?
I did not. I've heard about it, and I've heard good things. And our guest here today kind of shared a little bit, some good insight on it. So I'm excited about it.
We might have to know more. Speaking of guests,
yes,
we'd like to welcome to the show today TC Eckstein. TC, thanks for joining us today.
No problem. Thanks for coming in, man.
Yeah, and so we rudely just started talking back and forth, and here's this poor guy is sitting right next, and people who aren't watching, they don't really get it, but people who are watching, like, you're just going to let him sit there? Yeah. We are going to talk to TC today about the fight. And this is not just the fight of MMA or a bar fight or just punching somebody in the face. This is actually on a whole different level. And we connect with Strong Dads with the fight because we actually share a very common mission, and that is men, going after men and good men to see how we can help them, right? I mean, we kind of have a heart for those guys, mostly because we see the value of a good man in the house and in the marriage. So anyway, TC, thank you for joining us.
No problem. Right. I appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about your story, and we'll get into the fight and some of the details there. Right. But tell us a little bit about you.
So I was born and raised in Lawrenceburg, grew up around here. Met my wife when I was 14 years old. We've been together ever since.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you date?
Oh, yeah.
Right back then when you were 14?
We were 14. I remember the night I came home after first meeting her.
Yeah.
And I went and I walked in the door and I told my dad, I was like, I met the woman I'm going to marry.
No.
I did. I was 14 and I like
awesome.
Now, if my 14-year-old, they're older than 14, but if they would have came home at 14 and said that, I'd have been like, you are out of your mind. That is just ridiculous. But I said it. And
okay, so did you ever break up and date other people?
We never dated other people, but we did have that growing pains and being awkward, weird teenagers and not knowing life. Like we would break up.
That's crazy.
It never lasted. It never lasted more than a month.
And she still likes you after all these years.
I like to think so.
Yeah. Well, good. So you were raised here in the Lawrenceburg, Indiana area, all right? Yep. So anything else?
We took a leap of faith probably in 2003. We had 2 kids. We got married young. I was 20 when we got married. She was 21. And we had Lily and Brady back to back, pretty close. And then we got the opportunity to go to college.
Okay.
And my wife was basically told me, she's like, my children's father will have an education. Okay, well, that's me. So I guess so.
Well, we need to talk to him. Oh, wait, that's me.
Yeah. And so we moved away to Evansville for about 4 years and, went to college, came back out and moved back to the area. And I went into education and she went into social services. So she works for the Department of Child Services and it does fantastic work there.
Yeah.
And so, we
take my hat off to her on that. I'm very familiar with that line of work.
Yeah. And then about 10 years from then, we kind of lost our minds and we're like, kids are pretty easy. Kids are not bad. Let's do this again. Take the path of least regrets. And it's like, you're never going to wish your child was never born.
Right, yeah.
So we're like, let's have another one. So now we have Faley, who's 6, 7.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right.
That's terrible.
So the age gap between the youngest old one And your
It's
youngest?
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, so she's 7, 100% 7. I said 6, but I'm wrong.
Yeah. Oh, she'll call you out on that for sure. What, Dad? That's great. I have a
7 in 5
granddaughter
days.
who just turned 7. Yeah. So that's and I can't imagine me.
Right.
But I'm a little bit older than you, but still.
Right.
Well, that is a shocker in terms of just the system. When we adopted our kids, there is, I think, about a 12-year difference between our youngest of biological kids and then the oldest adopted. And man, during that time where before you have the next generation, you're kind of getting in your groove, and all of a sudden you bring in that new kid and you're going, whoa, what just happened?
Right. Yeah. I always feel like my older two kind of got the short end of the stick in terms of who I am as a person and who I've grown to be, because man, I was such a kid. I was just a boy.
Oh, yeah.
Like when they were little kids, I was a little kid myself. Like I look at it now and I'm like, I was not a man yet.
Yeah.
I was not there yet. And they kind of got that short end of it for a while.
Yeah. And isn't it crazy, though, that now you can see yourself as a mid-20-year-old and go, wow, I was a boy. But back then you would have never considered yourself a boy. No. No, like I'm getting it done. I'm a man.
Right.
And there's you hear about the development of the prefrontal cortex and how it doesn't really come to full development until mid to late 20s.
Yep.
And you can't tell a 20-year-old that. They're like, what do you mean? Like I'm making money. I got a house or whatever they're doing. So
how was that? So obviously, your first two kids. We were actually just talking about this yesterday at work. How it's kind of crazy, like. As a dad of a 2-year-old, you're learning how to be a dad of a 2-year-old. At the same time, your 2-year-old is learning how to be a 2-year-old, right? And then all of a sudden now you get to almost like set the clock back and like you already know how to be a dad of a 2-year-old, but your kid's still learning how to be a 2-year-old, right? But you kind of almost like experienced that. That's something like you almost got to like do the the control alt delete and restart it again.
Yeah. That it was a fresh slate. Yeah. It really was, because our daughter, our youngest, has a totally different life than our older two did. Her life is nothing like theirs.
Yeah.
And even as parenting goes on, I always make the joke that we're like grandparents that get to be parents, because our patience when you're young and you're youthful and I don't know what it is,
the energy
your patience is like very, very little, and you're like, nope, you got our youngest or our oldest two really had to toe the line all the time.
Yeah.
Our youngest one, it's like, whatever. She's fine. It's all right. Like, it's just different. And it's
just another cookie. Just whatever.
Yeah,
just keep
whatever. I'm not going to fight it.
Our older two are always like, we never got to do that.
Yeah.
Just go.
Well, we didn't
it.
love you like we love her. That's why. We have those kind of fun conversations in our house, too. Our older ones be like, really? Like, you're letting them do what? It's like, But, well, that's good stuff. All right. Well, so let's go ahead and run through our sponsor thank yous. But TC, we have brought you in because we are going to talk about the fight. Okay, and there's multiple different conversations attached to the fight, so we kind of want to pull those apart and figure out what those conversations are. And so we got some great stuff for you guys today. So tune in and let's get rolling with some thank yous.
I like it. Strong Dads, we would love to thank Casey Outdoor Solutions for coming alongside of us. Really do appreciate them. Go check them out. Got an incredible facility, home decor, outdoor needs. I know we're in the midst of the wintertime, so probably more so of the home decor stuff. I'm sure they're definitely in the midst of all that. So check them out. Let them know we sent you up there.
All right. I also want to thank Quality Auto Mart for being a sponsor of Strong Dads. So for all your automotive needs, go out to Quality Auto Mart, located outside of Batesville, Indiana, on Route 46. They will give you free estimates on the work needed to be done, and they'll also go through a full inspection of your car just to tell you whether it's in good shape or not. So go out there and see the guys at Quality Auto Mart. All right. So, TC, well, first off, what is the fight?
So
what is the fight?
Yeah, that's a good question, because you mentioned before, people are like, "What is this? The fight? Or are we fighting each other?"
Yeah,
I was kind of excited. I was excited. I thought we were going to start going after it.
I heard the fight was like a Friday night deal, so I thought, I don't know if I want to go to that. They're like doing MMA, and I'll probably get sucked in and break my neck again. So you're not actually physically.
I like to say,
or maybe
we are not fighting each other. We're fighting tougher things than other men. Was how I like to put it. You know, it is a brotherhood essentially of people just all surrounding each other. Like, I want to be better. I want to do something different in life. I don't want to be average.
Okay.
So it's that brotherhood where we're committed to fighting for our families. We're committed to fighting for our marriages and our wives and our children, our friends and our community. That we want to bring good men into that, and just think of the impact that would have. Like if everybody had a unified vision of, you know, I want my kids to be X, I want my marriage to look like this, I want, you know, it's that concentrated focus on those areas. I think our community itself could just see huge change.
Well, you mentioned, you know, something bigger than another man is what we're fighting, but also I think probably the challenge is, in many regards, it appears to be invisible. Right? Like another man, I can see his jaw and I can go after it.
Yes.
But these are things like how I'm using time, money, my fantasy land in my mind, all these different things. Yeah. And so maybe in a word, Satan, right?
Potentially.
Satan.
I mean, and I don't like to give that too much credit. I mean, so oftentimes we're always, it's an easy out.
Yeah.
I mean, the man that you can't see, you can find him real quick by looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Like that thing that you need to fight real quick, just look in a mirror. Yeah. That's who you need to go after.
Yeah.
Okay.
So where this idea of the fight, where did it kind of stem from? What was some of the beginnings of this? Kind of what brought you to it, to, you know, starting the fight? What kind of brought you here?
So I know Justin Oppert was a previous guest on your show. He had this idea of the fight. And he posed that to a couple other guys, and they talked about it. And then I think we would do a fight night every once in a while where we would get together. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do anything. So we started this huddle group, which is like a discipleship group where we just kind of lean into each other and we just work towards being the best image of Jesus that we can be in our own specific ways.
Yeah.
Like, we're not all going to walk out and be, you know, the same person. That's not going to happen. But we have that goal of, you know, I need to start tackling these areas in my life and moving forward. So we had a huddle group, and we kept that together for 2-3 years. I mean, we're still together. We're just the fight now.
Right.
And it stemmed from that huddle group out, where we were like, you know, we need to bring other guys into this. We need, like, there's power here, like, with us just leaning into each other and leaning into the word and you know, growing in that sense. There's sick and dying men out there who are just alone.
Yeah.
And that's part of the fight's purpose is, you know, find a pack, find a tribe. Don't go at life alone. Lone wolves die.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, it's statistically proven that lone wolves that are out there, they're sicker, they're weaker, they eat far less, and they die far sooner.
Yeah. And they live with great anxiety. They're very, lots of questions in their mind because they don't have that security of the pack.
Yeah.
And,
Right. Yep.
Yeah. You know, that's an interesting thing. I've been thinking about that lately. I've come in and out of small groups over the years. I'm currently not really very active in a small group. And sometimes I needed a break from the small group. Sometimes it's just like, all right, like I feel like we've exhausted everything about this small group. But now I actually feel a little bit lone wolf. And so it's interesting that you kind of bring that up. Just like, I need someone that's challenging me, but also just some of the camaraderie. Like, hey, you know, this is a band of brothers kind of thing. So, and I know it's interesting as you get older, guys are, I don't know if lazy is the right word, but they're lazier in terms of seeking out the connections. They just sort of, I'll go to my wood shop, I'll go to my gym, I'll go to my recliner, and it's all messy to get involved with all this other stuff. And they tend to sort of just suck back into comfort.
Yeah. And that's kind of part of my story is that, you know, I have been with my wife forever. We had our kids, and it's like, you know, it's just us. It's us against the world.
Yeah.
You know, and that's good to an extent to have that sort of dependency on your spouse and be there, but she can't be a guy friend
Yeah.
to
Right.
me. She can't be a brother to me. That's
Yeah.
unfair to even ask her to do that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I remember reaching a point where I had saw a post from Adam Legg, who was also on this. He had made a Facebook post. He was doing all these inspirational posts, and I was like, that's the kind of guy that I want to be friends with. That's the kind of family that I want in my family's life to impact my family. And one day he made a post, and I was like, hey, if anybody wants to talk or needs anything, just send an email and he put his email on there. And I thought about it, and I wrote up this email, and I sat on it for like 3 months. I was like,
Wow.
what a weenie I would look like, right? Like I would just
Can you help me?
right? Yeah, like, it's funny because I talk about it today, and it's one of those points of where life changed, you know. But I'd finally just sent the email, and I didn't even tell my wife because she'd be like, "What's wrong with you? Why would you send that? Now we look like losers." You know, like I was like, "Trust me, I know. I felt the exact same thing."
Right.
But like I remember the first line, that just being open and raw, and it's that step that men are refusing to take. That conceding is the fact that, you know, I don't want to look like X. I don't want to look like this, but I want all of these things in front of me, but I don't want to take a step towards it.
Right.
I want it to come to me. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I sent the email, and the first line said, I need friends. My family needs friends. And since then, I mean, if anybody follows the Legs on Facebook, you know we're with them all the time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like we have.
I
really
wish
took
you
off.
never
Like,
opened that one.
Sometimes I think that, right.
But isn't that cool though? I mean, because I think that this idea of, and maybe it's just a man problem, this idea of relationships, and sometimes relationships are hard for men, and I'm sure doing the ministry you're doing, you see this idea of just opening yourself up because of maybe pride, whatever it looks like. But I think it's so cool just to the realization. Obviously now you have a different perspective now, looking at it now. But at the time, in the midst of it, you said you sat on for 3 months. I think that's every guy out there, that it's just like, man, I need friends, right? I need camaraderie with people. But it's just that initial step, taking that. I just ask for it, and I think it's cool. Just that realization. Obviously, again, hindsight being what it was, and it is, and kind of seeing that perspective now, you realize that.
Yeah, and it's that lie that we tell ourselves, like, no, I'm good because I talked to so and so at my son's baseball game, or I hang out at work with these guys and we joke around and we'll text even afterward. It's not that. Yeah. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the guys where when the crap hits the fan in your marriage and you're like, this is a bad day.
Yeah.
I need to text my guys. You know, and that our circle has grown. We have people that are our daily. You know, that we talk to all the time, all day long, just back and forth, where they're in our life.
Yep.
We're in their life.
Yep.
They have a license to point at things in my life and say that needs to die, or that needs to grow. More of that from you. And I've given my guys that license to come in and do that in my life. And we guys don't like opposition. Guys don't like to be challenged. Yeah. You know, and so they're probably more comfortable with the fact of like, I talked to them and so, but nobody knows my crap. Right? Nobody knows my crap. So,
man, you got my brain going all over the place with just the things that come to mind. So, you know, beforehand, when we were doing our foreplay conversation, which that's conversation before we actually hit the record button, by the way, getting our brain spinning. You know, men are very different than women. Women can connect emotionally very quickly, and it can be all language-based, all verbally based. They can just sit at a table and talk about everything and anything, and men struggle with that. Yeah. And when you have a group of men who, if you just say, well, we're just going to meet on Tuesday nights and we're just going to just talk, it doesn't go well.
No, nobody wants to do that.
Because men aren't wired that way.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't mean you can't do that occasionally, but men, what we've come to find out is men will hang around each other all day and forever if it's activity-based. If there's, like, I have to have something in common with you. You're a woodworker. I'm kind of interested in woodworking. Show me what you're doing there. Oh, you like to hunt? I like to hunt. You know, oh, you like to work out? I like to work out. So it has to be, otherwise we go, oh, that guy's kind of weird. We don't have anything in common.
Yeah. Right.
You know, and so men need some glue, some initial glue. And so I say that because you guys with the fight are trying to even expand some adventure stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So tell us about the fight camp.
So the fight camp.
Is that what you call it? The fight camp?
The fight camp. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just make sure I'm using the right terms here.
Yeah. That it was inspired by Crossroads Man Camp.
Okay.
So a lot of us have been to Crossroads Man Camp multiple times. Some of us have been leaders at Crossroads Man Camp. Some of us have been MASH guys, which are their prayer guys, where that's their whole weekend. They just pray for other dudes that are in the crap, you know. So I went to a man camp, and I came back and I was like, we've got to do this. Like, there's no reason we can't do this, because man camp's huge. It's national. Like, there's guys coming from all over the country to this. And I was just that thought of, like, if we focused that beam of power into just the guys in our community, that weekend was life-changing for me. X number of years, I don't remember the exact number of years ago, but X number of years ago, I went to that and I found freedom. I found, no joke, chains are gone, freedom. All the crap that I'd battled, all the self-doubt and self-pity and guilt and shame and all of that crap, like, it was literally gone from that weekend.
Wow.
And it was simple. It's stupid simple. It's camping. That's it. You're going out camping. You're hanging out with your guys around a fire at night. You know, you do a work detail. There's like a small window of solitude time where you're just by yourself and you're out in nature, and that's amazing. It sounds silly, like when you tell a guy, it's like, well, there's time where you're just by yourself and you're out in the woods. That is one of the most impactful times, because 9 times out of 10 during our day we can distract ourselves with technology and such. If you're out in nature, you can't avoid pondering God. You're surrounded by everything He's made. You're surrounded by I mean, it's just impossible to not have a open ear. You know.
I've said a million times, the more I'm in nature, the more I believe in God. Like, I don't know how. I hunt a little, but not. I would never call myself an avid hunter, but I know a whole lot of guys who do. And it's, you know, when they're in their 20s, they're all about getting the big buck. When they're in their 40s and 50s, they're all about getting the quiet time.
Right.
They go out and like, wow, if I get a deer, I do. But man, I just love when I'm out there and I'm by myself and it's quiet. And it's like, that's that solitude of going, okay, I'm just kind of connecting with something much greater than me that I'm a part of. So I definitely hear you.
So like at camp, we kind of we use that that time, but it's mainly building into other guys. Like, guys are put into a unit. They don't know who they're going to get as their trip captain. We have designated guys that are our trip captains. Last year, it was all of us that led the fight. We're like, it was our first one. We're going to do this. We're just going to be the leaders here. This year, we've got 9 or 10 different leaders that stepped out from last camp that said, you know what, I want to do this. I want to lead. So they're going to be the leaders this time around. And they get a unit of guys that they build into. And it's not just the trip captain running everything. The trip captain is not sitting down with cracking open a Bible or giving out handouts. None of that crap. That's just garbage. I don't want to do that. I would hate that if I went on a weekend like
Sunday school.
I would be like, this is terrible. Like, I don't want to do work. Like, this is stupid.
Book work especially.
Right. Yeah. But it's sitting around a fire and talking. And as you sit around a fire and as the night wears on, like, things just start bubbling up, you know, and then guys start opening up. They start sharing. And that's part of the point of it is, you know, you got to open up. You got to lean into other guys. You can't deal with your crap yourself. You can't self-talk motivation forever. You can't do that. You need other people. And it's bringing about that realization over time, over a weekend. And so it's community. It's community building.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Okay, so when is it?
So this year it is the last weekend of February. So February 24, 25, 26.
So that's a Friday night, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. And so are you still taking
we are.
applications or what entries? What's that look like?
Yeah. So we have an all online process for registration. There's a link. I don't quite remember it. It is bit.ly/thefightcamp.
If I just go, I know you have a Facebook page.
We do have a Facebook page.
Can I find the application or the process to get into the camp?
Yes. If you can't find that there, you're at the wrong page because that's all that's on our page right now is Fight Camp, Fight Camp, Fight Camp.
Gotcha.
Fight Camp.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So is there a cost?
There is a cost. So this year we are asking guys to put some skin in the game on this. We're asking for $40 a camper.
Okay.
However, if that's too much for somebody, if somebody's like, man, I just can't swing $40, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're not
Right.
hard line of like, if you need help, we will find someone to help you, or however that works. Just reach out to us if you can't find the $40 for the weekend.
Okay.
So what number camp is this? So this is your second year?
This is 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. So, I mean, with that, I mean, the second time doing it, in the midst of kind of doing the fight and then, doing the fight, the camping, what are some of the things that are being brought up? What are some issues you're seeing guys facing? What are things that are being brought up around those campfires?
From my perspective, and the other guys may have different perspectives when they look at it. A lot of it is the fact that they are carrying guilt and shame from their past. Mm-hmm. A lot of that is it really, really comes into play is the fact that, I've just been carrying this bag of crap around forever, and I don't trust myself to give it to anybody else or to even let anybody look at it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just going to carry this. We see a lot of that of guys just finding freedom from carrying that stuff. I mean, we've seen guys that, take on alcoholism. It's like, you know what? I'm an alcoholic. And it's the first time they've said it because they've been even afraid to say it, but then they say it and it's out there. And then they've got guys that nobody's looking at somebody else like, oh,
you got issues.
Yeah, damn, I didn't know that was, whew. But you know what? This isn't for you.
Yeah.
Nobody's doing that to anybody. It's 9 times out of 10, you'll find somebody in your unit. It's like, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too on that issue. I struggle with alcoholism, or I struggle with addiction, or I struggle with porn, or I struggle with all these different things. Anger's another one. I struggle with being angry all the time, or pride. It's those things just come up, and you're like, man.
Yeah.
People, I am not alone in this.
Yeah.
Like this bag of crap is not secret, and it's not just pertaining to me only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's amazing when you're like, wow, I've got a battle buddy. I've got a guy that's fighting the same thing.
Yeah.
TC, you are now really hitting in my territory in terms of I work with men. I do a lot of man-to-man coaching. As well as marriage coaching, and so it really does work together, because sometimes you see the weakness of the man through the marriage, right? And sometimes they just have a man that comes in, and we get into that. But I think something that you hit on there is, I don't care how big, strong, fast, money. I don't care. Every man carries weaknesses.
Oh yeah,
every man does. But what happens is they try to bury them under their strengths.
Oh yeah.
And so as we get older, and I'll say, like, I see it start to really come through in the 20s and into the 30s. And usually by mid to late 30s, it seems to be full blown. They've created their mask that they can wear.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you the number of men that come into me and they say they have an anger problem, and their wife is one that told them they have an anger problem. They would never admit they had an anger problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And again, like, without, like, pissing them off too bad, you don't have an anger problem. You have an anxiety inferiority problem.
Right. Yeah.
You are covering up. And for us men, like, hey, I'm a pretty strong dude, so I'll just yell a little louder, or I'll just punch the wall a little more, and so I'm going to exert my strength to cover my weakness. And one of the things that I've always seen with hardcore sports, MMA fighting, wrestling, things that really make you dig deep, okay, SEAL training, stuff like that.
Right.
These guys their weaknesses get exposed, because every guy has to finally go, man, I can't handle all this by myself.
Right.
Like, I thought I was the biggest, toughest, strongest guy in here, but I'm getting my butt kicked. And it's at that point when you finally go, there's someone bigger than me, that you finally become a brotherhood.
Yep.
And you take off the mask of I got to be a badass angry guy,
Right?
Yep.
You know, and that's why I think it's so important that you guys get together, and it takes a weekend at least. Actually, it probably takes far longer than that, but a weekend where one guy calling me out, like if I were in one of those circles and this guy was constantly had an edge on his shoulder, I'm at the age now where I'd be like, dude, what's the chip on your shoulder about?
Yeah.
And that's
What do you mean? I got a chip on my shoulder. Exactly.
Yeah.
But and that's the funny thing. It's like that's what we want.
Yeah.
We don't want the guy that comes in, like you said, the mask. You know, we purposely try to wear you out.
Yeah.
We purposely try to wear you out because you can't keep that mask up.
Yeah.
You can't keep that up when you're tired. If you're a dick all the other times, and then you're doing this camp and you're like, I'm going to put this mask on, and you're tired, we're going to see that guy.
Yeah.
We're going to see that guy. And that's the guy that we want.
Yeah.
That's the guy that we want to talk to because clearly you're not being fake anymore.
Right.
You know,
Right.
we don't want that phony person that shows up and they're all done up ready for a Bible study. No way. That's not the guy we want.
Well, TC, I got a question for you. So, here at Strong Dads, Merle and I, we, along with addressing and pointing out our own flaws, we don't like to sit and sulk in that, right? We like to move on from that. Like, let's come up with solutions. So obviously you have the fight camp where you're going and you're basically like you were talking about taking the mask off, right? What is the next step for the guys? So does it just end at the weekend, or is there a follow up to kind of work on those solutions? So we've addressed whatever, alcohol, porn. Like, what is the next step for those guys as far as the fight's involvement in that?
Yeah. So we have it like we try to be simple, but we have patterns. We have rhythms that we go through. And so after fight camp, you're still gonna have your unit text messages with your buddies like that you camped with that weekend. You have those connections with those guys that are local, that are around you. And then we have every second Saturday morning of each month. So this however it falls, the second Saturday of every month, 7 a.m. we're getting together and we're having breakfast.
Okay.
And it's not like your typical church breakfast where you just kind of walk in.
Most of it's made by men, which right there, that either makes
Right,
it really good or really bad.
Yeah, we have a guy
Or
that's
really
been
bad
kicked
for
off
you.
of doing eggs. We had burnt eggs one morning, and that guy has since been moved to sausages. He does sausage now. So, but yeah, so it's just that kind of time to start your weekend off right and recenter yourself and talk to other guys, share your successes or your failures for the week or for the month. And then every third Friday of each month, so however that falls, the third Friday of every month, at 6:00, we have fight night. At the same place we have breakfast. So we'll have fight night, and that is a hangout.
Okay.
That isn't intense.
Where we do some axe throwing
we throw axes. There's a pool table. There's a ping pong table if it's not being used as a regular table.
Horizontal surfaces.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just a place to come and hang out, and we have some challenges. Like we have a 2-minute bar hang. If somebody wants to try to hang off a bar for 2 minutes, you get your name on the board. If you, I've never made it. So, like a piece of bubble gum trying to hang there.
What's the record?
I think I want to say like close to 2.5.
Okay.
I mean, it's a lot harder than it sounds.
Oh, I've tried to do it. I have made 2 minutes, but
right.
I don't know about lately.
Yeah, you can't, and we don't allow them to chalk. No chalking. You
Oh,
can't chalk your hands.
that's a different game because I get nervous, sweaty palms.
The moment you start readjusting, we know you're done.
Yeah.
We're like, all right, you're down in the next 10 at least. And then we have different physical challenges that you can or can't do. You don't have to do them. It's
Right.
just one of those things for fun.
Because that's something that guys can. That's a bond we get together, right?
Yeah, and then we try to have occasionally where we get families together.
Yeah.
Guys from the fight, bring your family, bring your kids, bring your wife. Meet the other wives, have your kids play. And we've even seen our wives try to take on these challenges, these physical challenges. And some of our wives are on the board.
Yeah. Oh, yeah?
My wife is on the board.
Oh,
wow.
She's a tough one.
You bet.
Yeah.
That's some great stuff. So, all right, let's recap a little bit of this. I had a thought that came into my head. So it's $40 to do the camp. Yep. Right, let's go back to the camp. It's $40 to do the camp. Do I have to bring my own food? What do I need to bring to that?
This is a bring or borrow your own everything.
Okay.
I mean, and so we have guys. I've talked to people before that are like, well, I don't have a tent. That's fine. You're gonna have a unit.
You can sleep outside. That's fine.
Yeah. You're gonna learn some dependency.
Yeah.
If you don't have it, don't run off and buy it. Don't blow out your bank account trying to buy all this camping gear for one weekend. Just talk to the guys in your unit. I guarantee someone has a tent or has room in their tent. I slept in somebody's tent my first man camp.
Okay.
I didn't have a tent. And I didn't want to go out and buy a tent because I was like, this may just completely suck.
This might
I
be
don't
one
want to
and
do this
done.
at all.
Yeah.
So like I borrowed a tent. I slept in somebody's tent. And your food for the weekend, we have one meager meal, very very meager, that we'll make on Saturday afternoon, and it's typically just like hot dogs and chips or something like that. You know, not a big
pretty
deal.
meager. Yeah,
right. Yeah, but if you plan to eat the rest of the weekend, you need to bring your own stuff. Like I'll bring like pouches of tuna and some granola bars and you know, and there's plenty to borrow. People are always sharing their food around the campfire and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. So, what about drinks and how about alcohol? I know man camp. I'm going to go ahead and breach the subject here. Man camp allows alcohol, I think, right?
Yeah.
Or where are we with alcohol or smoking? What if I want to come out and I want to smoke and drink?
We don't care. We're not putting it out there like, hey, bring your stuff. Like,
okay, so it's not about that.
It's not about that.
Okay.
It is not a kegger event. It's not a party.
Okay.
It's just come and be yourself. That's what we want. We want guys to come and be themselves. Like if somebody, you're going to see guys with cigars walking around. You may see somebody with a can of beer. I don't know what that's going to look like because I'm not bringing anything like that because I'm weak to addictions.
Right.
I'm weak there. So, and it's not because I'm judging anybody else. It's just because TC can't do it.
Right.
TC can't do it.
Yeah.
So I don't. I try.
Okay.
I mean, I try to avoid it.
Okay. What about? I'm just asking some logistic types things here. So what about age? Like if I had a teenager, is he welcome, or is like no? We want men just for the sake of men.
We're 18 and up.
Okay.
For this camp.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Which is probably, I mean, you know, especially if we're some of the stuff you're talking about, trying to get into, you know, the stuff, the scars or the mask we're talking about. It's probably better to have a group of men around the campfire. You know, just some of the stuff. I mean, because I know from my small group, the stuff we share, I wouldn't want my kids around just because we kind of go pretty deep on stuff we're dealing with. So. Right.
Yeah. And there's that potential. So we wanted to limit that a little bit, and we didn't want to make it awkward. So we don't want, you know, a group of 40-year-olds and then have a 16-year-old in there.
Sure.
Like,
yeah.
Well,
I've
been
completely different stage.
I don't know. Yeah, and even 18 to I think we have upwards of 70 years of age coming to our camp this year.
Okay.
Like so, even there, but there's so much that can be learned from both.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You know, that the old dog has wisdom. You know, the graybeard's got the wisdom that can share to the 18-year-old, and the 18-year-old, you know, can
got the energy and
I mean, so there's a lot of good things that can happen there too.
Yeah. Okay, so, well, obviously I'm not a weatherman, but we're talking the end of February, so we better be prepared for all kinds of weather.
And that's part of the adventure.
Yeah.
That's part of the challenge is it is rain or shine.
Okay.
It is happening if it's -20 or if it's 100 degrees
Ooh,
outside.
that could be hardcore.
It is happening no matter what.
Mommy, can you come get me from camp?
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like that's part of the challenge. But I've never heard a good story ever start with everything was perfect. Everybody was comfortable. Everybody was happy, and nothing bad ever happened. That's a crappy story, man.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna come out of this with some good stories.
Yeah.
We did a camp with a bunch of guys. I'll say out of the Bright Christian Church, but it really wasn't. It was more open, but it was Man Up Camp is what we called it. And I was about the third season in. I mean, it rained like California-style rain that we're hearing about.
Yeah.
It rained like that the entire weekend. The creek that runs by it was flooding up. We had to move everyone's tent so that they didn't drown.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's what I remember. It was miserable.
Yeah.
Everything about that was miserable. We had a little barn that we could hide in just to try to stay dry. But that's how you remember 'em.
That's our difference. We don't have any solid shelters.
Okay.
None. No solid shelters. So like if it's coming down, like you're sorry.
Yeah.
You're gonna get wet.
And where about is the campgrounds?
It is in Dearborn County, so that's part of the mystery. Like we don't want people coming around and like looky-loos or someone's like, well, I'm just gonna stop in. No, you're not. If you're in, you're in, and if you're not in, you're out.
Gotcha.
100%.
Okay, let me go back to the fight in terms of your Saturday mornings and your Friday evenings. So your Saturday mornings are the second Saturday of the month at 7 a.m., and it's a breakfast kind of deal.
Yep.
And your Friday evenings, that's the third Friday of the month, and that's at 6 p.m.
Yes.
But what is the location? Or
can
you share the location?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is in...
Is that a secret, too?
No, we call it the Fight Barn. It's basically a pole barn right behind the firehouse in Lawrenceburg. Downtown Lawrenceburg, the firehouse right behind there. It's 302 Walker Avenue.
302 Walker Avenue. Okay.
Now, do you need to attend the camp in order to attend?
Nope.
Okay, good deal.
Nope. You do not have to attend camp to go there. You don't have to show up to our events after camp or prior. You don't have to do any of that.
I'm sure it probably helps to build those relationships.
It does, and that's part of it, is that ongoing thing of like, I'm going to see my guys. I'm going to see my guys. Right. I'm going to talk to my outside of text messages or phone calls or your own individual hangouts. We're not trying to coordinate people's lives.
Sure,
so, that's not. You're going to get out of it whatever you put into it.
Good point.
If you put nothing in, you're going to get nothing out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Wow, TC. So I love that you guys are on mission to do that. And I think, this is a call out to strengthen men, not to beat men down. And hopefully guys can take advantage of the opportunity to grow stronger so they can be just better in all facets of their life, whether it's marriage, family, kids, work, whatever. All right. You got any last thing? We're going to start to wrap things up. You got any last thing you want to say? Anything we forgot?
Yeah, I do. I do want to say that our signups close on let me check my watch, January 22nd.
Okay.
Signups are done.
So
signups
11
closed.
days. As we're recording this, it is January 11th. So you're saying January 22nd is the last day.
Yep, that's it. So you have that time. Local guys, I'm making an appeal to you. Show up. Do something different. Yeah. Make an impact in this community. Change your life. You've got to take some motion there. You've got to do something about that. Yeah. So that's probably my last thing, is just pushing that. We're seeing guys from all over the country sign up for this one.
That's awesome.
That's so
cool.
Which is not wasn't expected. We're still very much focused on our local guys and community building and everything, but you may have somebody in your unit from a totally different state this year.
Man, I love that, TC. I've said this before on the show, and I'll continue to say it. God calls men into action. So if you feel a lump in your throat about, man, this might be something kind of cool to do, man, I would just encourage you to do it, because I think what a great opportunity to invest and build in relationship with other men that can hold you accountable, to continue to try and get better. That's the whole reason we started Strong Dads, was just let's build into each other. Let's do this together, because, just like we talked about at the very beginning of the show, it's hard to do this by yourself.
Yeah.
I do not even have a better challenge. TC, you threw the last challenge out there about getting guys out there, so we're just going to let it hang right there. We want to thank you guys for listening. Strong Dads is all about, as we've talked about today, this is the reason for Strong Dads, that we're going to build men because of the absolute God-designed importance in our life, that dads come in and actually play a leadership role there. And so when a dad is out of the house, you're going to get some really bad statistics happening in that home. And we talk about those things all the time. We need good, strong dads, good husbands. And so we want to thank you guys for listening. Do us a favor, share this show. Even if for some reason you can't get to this camp or you're not in this area, share the show with other guys. All right? Let them know that these kind of things are out there. They're available. Bottom line is, let's take the excuses away for why we're doing nothing or staying in the same place. So do us a favor and share that show.
Love it. Yeah. Quality Auto Mart and Case Outdoor Solutions. Thanks so much for coming alongside of us, TC. Man, I love the message. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you, TC.
Yep. All right. Good deal. Go out there and be some strong dads.
Casey's is a premier garden center and gift shop located in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Casey's offers a wide selection of plants, landscaping materials, home and garden decor, and gifts for every occasion. Casey's is committed to providing exceptional service, a unique shopping experience, and value to every customer. Stop in and see what makes Casey's so unique. Located at 21481 State Line Road, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, or call 812-537-3800. Let Casey's help you add beauty to your home.